Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Again, good old friend, business partners too, and we also do a lot of things together in giving back. Dr. Deepak Madara. Uh, I know him. He was the founding president of the BAP, the BAP Association, and then he was also the president, mentioned, the president of IT, the Vizag IT Association. Uh, Basically, this is an association which brings all the IT and ITS companies in and around the state of Andhra Pradesh. Initially, Vizag, but then we got all these companies together on one platform, and there's 200 members now. Is basically Deepak, who's a grad from BITS Pilani, and advanced distributing research, which is HR, economics, and PhD from University of Oklahoma Industry. Right? Because economics. And one thing that he is founding the team of CDH Financial Technology Services. It's grew to about 600 employees in countries and 5 locations before it was acquired by Mr. Watson. This is also this is also the brand name of what we were stated by Sai. The Sirpur injection was Eclipse. There were 3 centers in India. Siliguri, Vizag, and Patna. Then post that, we have founded something called Alco Partners, and the also one mentioned, which is UAD Colleges, which is the investment arm. Alco Partners is basically 5 of us. It's actually led by Deepak. We are nurturing early stage startups and find investment. So Deepak instrument in creating this investment agency called UNT. It's where our first investment was for student startup, call it for interview, which today we do pretty well. So bringing which one maybe when you just talk to them for the student startup. So Deepak along me and the 3 of us have invested, mentored into what is today. Mentored and invested into a few other few other startups that we are part of. So Deepak, very balanced, very balanced, observes things, and then there's a very rational, critical analysis of things here. Whenever people like me, with a lot of risk taking, they move forward with not much of due diligence and observation, all the possible not so good things that can happen. So he keeps us as a team checks and balances. I think the great person to talk to and helps also as a mentor. So thanks, Deepak. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for accepting. We would also see him as part of a panel discussion because on the last day, we have what we do in the same room, what we do, something called status. We will also be part of that. So it's a 3 to 5 p.m. show. Last week, we could be part of the panel discussion. So that would be Deepak. Thanks for being here. Obviously. There we go. No, we There for including remarks. Come back. we are pre-investing in
Seed for
we are
business.
giving us the product, we are giving the service. We are pre-investing.
Come back to society now. Come back to you. Something has to run.
Papers, we can take.
Good afternoon. Right, so I get a feedback from this 60% of people they are returning like that. But tells me that post lunch session is not that bad.
Always a challenge.
Yeah, but apparently not in this group. So Roy told quite a few things, nice things about me, and I'm wondering if he's got something in store for me right after this session. He already dropped the start of Saturday. I they walked behind my back, and by the time I came here for this session, I was already booked for
The next one.
So I'm wondering if there's going to be a repeat of that, going by what you talked about. Hey, systems check. We are on the right place at the right time. So I'm sure I'm not going to talk anything during this session, not something that you're not been exposed to already. In terms of innovations that are happening in the information technology field that businesses are customer service. None of these are standalone. The technology that we talked about, they all overlap, and most successful companies use a little bit or use everything together. Then they get the success to move forward and grow on customer service. Growth and customer service are kind of related. You can get growth if you don't have a good customer service. Once you have a customer service, it's really good prospects. So in no particular order, let's talk about cloud computing. So some of the young people here, they probably heard it, when they were even younger. They've been hearing about cloud computing for a while. So maybe one why is it out there? So fortunately or unfortunately, cloud computing is such a huge beast that it still drives innovation, still enables startups, still enables small companies, and it does enterprise. The practical computing, if you wanted to build an IT application, in all likelihood, you had to be your own infrastructure, right? So that was like first stage. Second stage was, well, you had these co-locations or hostings or what do you call data centers where you could share a rack, but have your own IT infrastructure, but share a rack, which meant you had to back up internet connectivity and all that. So that's the second generation. The third generation is where you don't own any of this infrastructure. All you do is use this shared infrastructure run by the likes of Google, Microsoft, or
DataOcean.
So, and then second year, or lower or more focused on a few things rather than hands-on. Am I hearing this at all?
No, it's good.
Yeah. Thank you. So you have more focused cloud providers like DigitalOcean, Pega, after few things, but they do like Amazon, everything. So what is cloud really big about? Like I said, enterprises were doing a lot of this before cloud came in. So if you want to develop an application, you either had to put in money for the data center or for IT infrastructure. So enabling or leveraging IT was not really for startups or maybe not even for small businesses. So when cloud computing came into the picture, it removed all these hurdles. So today, I'm sure any one of you can write an application, make it available across the globe. It's easily scalable. We are getting a lot more tools where probably you don't even need to code, right? Code is just, you grab a few snippets, do some UI, and then you have an application done. So that's what cloud computing brought. And it's still evolving. So it's maybe you've been hearing about it for 10, 15 years, but it's still evolving, making things simpler and easier for startups and small businesses to leverage. So we talked about Amazon Web Services, right? And then another example with our homegrown Zoho Corporation. These guys are probably the ones that are focused or better suited for small startups, small businesses. Their products can certainly be used by large corporations, but they are very well suited for the small startups. They are at a very attractive price point, and they got about 50 to 60 products across the gamut of various startups operation. They are best known for their CRM. The CRM, the customer relationship management application, was typically something that enterprises use to use. Big money applications. We have open source CRMs, but Zoho is probably one of the first ones which made it simple. CRM typically has a lot of learning curve, lot of implementation time. So unless you are able to really go through that steps, you're not able to reap the benefits of it. Zoho made it much simpler, made it easier to subscribe to. So you can start with like 2 people, 3 people, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. So the next one, sure. This every day we keep hearing about artificial intelligence and machine learning. It was essentially a response to repetitive analyze large amounts of data and come up with personalized information. The alternative was for humans to, parse through all this data and come up with personalized information, which very soon became undoable. That's where AI is. Homegrown examples, Power Stack. It has access to all the customer queries, customer knowledge, the company's knowledge. So it parses through all of that and is able to answer the customer queries, whether it's postal, retail, or if it's just hot. Myntra, another e-commerce company which has been very successful in using AI and machine learning. It's been able to use these algorithms to analyze system such as browsing and purchase history to make personalized product. Sure, you guys have to go on to Amazon or Myntra or Flipkart, search for a few items. Next time you go, they are aware that you're searching for these things, right? They're also aware if you're searching on Google. So your browser history also gives them insights on what you're searching. So when you go onto the site, they are ready to feed the information that you're looking for. Although my personal experience is Flipkart search has a lot to be desired. I don't know why, but even after Walmart pumping in big money, it feels like terrible search results. Social media, I don't think I need to talk much about this. How we folks know about how we can leverage social media. This is another channel to connect to customers. We have email channel, outreach for social media. It's a different channel to connect to customers. I'll respond to their inquiries. A lot of people would love to share their questions or share their comments, but the whole wide world to look at. So typically, the company is not responding to your health ticket, or if you're unhappy with the company, the first thing you would do is make it public, right? Social media helps you do that. So companies are more responsive. They see a query, they see a feedback that they put in light, so you get respond. So, Flipkart has been good at it in terms of managing their social media responses. So that helps drive customer satisfaction. It feeds back and forth. Airbnb, like these guys, they almost exclusively use social media to start their services. So that as a result of that, they have very good presence on social media. Almost always try to adapt marketing to social media. Again, homegrown barbecue nations, they use a lot of social media. They send out menus, pictures of the items, find out the response of it, and they collect data. Of you have been to barbecue nation, they are hunting, making sure that you had a pleasant experience, and then they follow it up with a customer support call, asking you to rate their services. And depending on what you had ordered, they're gonna keep sending messages on when they have a promotion or if they've added or modified the particular thing that they all mobile apps. You're probably thinking like, what's good for mobile apps? But it helps to understand the generational shift that this technology brought about. Prior to the smartphone, which was necessary for mobile, your interactions were limited to browser-based PC. The browser and PC could only use so much, the company could only use so much data. For example, we have GPS location. The browser theoretically it doesn't know the location. It doesn't know what are the apps or what are the services. Everything is all applications PC. So comes part one, you start installing a lot of mobile apps. So that meant, if you remember, early versions of Android, any permissions for everything. Why would an app that's not connected to camera need access to? Why would it need access to phone? It's got nothing to do with the application that. But earlier versions of Android, they just let every app access almost everything on your phone. The end result was the company that ran the mobile app had a lot of insight into what they do. So with the current versions of Android, with privacy being concerned, there's a big obligations around it. So it puts some controls on what the apps can interact with. Example, if it's using your mic, now you get a notification that some app is using your mic. If it's using your location, you get a notification that that app is using your GPS location. So you're more aware. But on the flip side, company can customize their services based on these inputs. So that's what mobile apps provide. Paytm is a classic example. I don't think they would have ever moved that fast if it was just a browser-based application. Right? Being on the phone, it gives you the ability to pay anybody using a QR code. Right? They got their big jump during the demonetization. Right? Paytm was probably the most popular app during demonetization because it was easy to get started. You could become a seller, you could become a buyer. All you got to do is have one app. And that app made it very easy to link to your bank. So Ola, obviously you can have it on your PC, right? It had to have a smartphone because it needs the location of where you are so you can hail the driver or the car. So again, the app has gone through several generations. Apps from Ola were pretty clunky. Uber had an edge initially in what it could gather from the app as well as what it could feed to the customer. So if not for an app, this business would have never happened, right? The whole ride-sharing business would have never happened. So in that sense, some of the businesses that you may be interested in or startup, certainly are better suited for mobile apps. Some of them are not, but today it's almost become a default that you start with a mobile app and then worry about an application that runs on a regular browser. And I'm sure there are services out there who don't have a browser interaction at all. If you have to interact with that service or buy that product, you have to install a web app. Big data analytics, like I said in the beginning, all these technologies are related, they overlap. So big data analytics is just accepting the fact that you are generating a lot of data in your interactions with the browser, your interactions with generally whatever you're searching, whatever you're reading. So all that is data. And because you give away your rights, you give away the access to your browser history, to your mobile application, a lot of this data can be used to segment as a customer. They know that this person is interested in product A, product B, product C, and browsers in the night, browsers in the morning, so they have all this data. This is big data. Now, based on that, they can customize recommendations on what product and services that you are interested in. And more importantly, at the time that you're likely to browse. A lot of products, at least in India, are purchased late in the morning. When they look at it, that's the time most families find everybody's sleeping, they browse, they make some purchases late in the night. So you can time your marketing ads to coincide with the profile of the customer. Next one I like to talk about is cybersecurity. With the data that is being generated, with the data that is being shared to the companies, a lot of them are identifiable in the sense that called like PIIs, personally identifiable information. So if somebody has access to this data, they can know a lot about it. So it is the onus is on the companies that are collecting this data to store it securely, make sure it's encrypted, make sure it's not hacking. So classic example is like Zoom. Zoom during the pandemic times, it was like the star application used by everybody, right? Nobody was ready for that kind of explosive growth. And initially, Zoom had its own. We had 200 people on the platform, and kids or a dog, expunge the entire thing. So they had to build multiple layers of security, and not just that. Once they started giving you the ability to apply it on their account, they had to ensure that data is protected. So they had to really speed up their security. Earlier, it was like share it and anybody. Stop that. So the flip side of not having good cybersecurity strategy. But I think unfortunately everybody talks about it. Yahoo had like two major breaches in 2013. They didn't know to what extent they lost. They didn't know how to respond. So it was like big time learn. By the time all this, they were able to get back on it. Billions. They lost trust of the customer. No. Things on Yahoo who really search engines. So I think finding a lot of billions by Yahoo, and they sold it, those probably it lost huge value. To win back customers, they gave them free cybersecurity services and all that. At least I don't think many people use Yahoo any longer. Still be someone that comes to still growing up. Some of it still real banks, a lot of vehicles, still go by vehicles. Internet of Things, IoT, this like big buzzword. This is something that's accessible and can be built by all stuff. Sensors are not expensive. There are libraries available out there. Build solution. Extensively. How enterprises use IoT? John Deere, a US-based agriculture company, ready home. They make agriculture machinery worth a few $1,000 and a few $100,000 to many jobs. These harvesters or machines that we use in agriculture, some of them run by themselves. They just need a driver, just sit, and they have something called like a deadline switch and sleep. So unless somebody's sitting on the seat, they don't move. That's the same aspect. There's instances where the person stepped out of the tractor gets moving, the tractor moving down. So they have something called deadline switch. So for that reason, they need a driver to see, but they pretty much guided fast. So they have a lot of IoT sensors. What do? They constantly feed information back on because of the machine. So they know the operational parameters of the machine. So John Deere can look at the data and see the machine perform optimally. Some component is not performing up. And provide send customer service from there and say, this part is probably another example is Nest. Nest has been purchased by Google. They were famous for like thermostats. So they had sensors with the thermostats, and these could be sensors and controls could be controlled via mobile phone. So the use case was like you're going home after a long work day. So typically, Western countries, even if you're not home, your air conditioning is running 24 hours. Suddenly you realize that that's not so green. Why would you need your house cool when nobody is there? That's been the traditional use. And the power prices went up even in this. They realized that, well, yeah, if nobody's home, I can shut it down. But then they said, I don't want to come into a cold home, or I don't want to come into a warm home. So this was just right for it. So you can either set it up to switch off and switch on at the right time. Some people don't really switch off. They increase the temperature, so the cooling or the heating is not really enough. Keeps it warm or cool. So when you really need it, just a few, 10, 20 minutes, people will go about 6 feet temperature of your life. So similarly, they share a lot of data on how you're cooling or heating this work, and so some preventive maintenance. XR technologies. This is a little bit new in the way it is called. XR stands for extended reality. So we all talk about virtual reality, augmented reality, hybrid reality. Virtual reality is probably the first one. Everything is like a digital replication of the real environment, right? Nothing real. So best use cases for the gaming industry. And then we are arguing where we kind of marry the digital world with the physical. The best example people use is for training. Digital objects and we have real world. So both of them were quite training. So in augmented reality, the digital objects were there, but they were never able to interact with physical objects. Mixed reality project. The digital objects really were able to interact with the physical world. So you have different mixed reality. XR is more of a combination of this. You use many of these technologies to extended reality. I guess you guys are quite about IKEA, right? IKEA is coming into India big time. The first one was so perfect example where they can sell that furniture and you're able to see all the furniture. So it's a mixed reality. So they bringing their furniture down. You have the dimensions of it. You have the color, light, the six. I see how the furniture looks. So meaning you have customers who are using that. So that is generating who's interested in what our promotion. That's it. The other side is manufacturers using it. For training, still mixed reality used regularly. I'm sure you all understand breathing in airline, breathing in airplane is I'm not wrong, they're probably a million bucks put together. So they've been doing this using magnets, using the screens and engineering minds so far. And typically, there's what the human errors for installations for maintenance. So what they're doing is like where it's hard to fix, whatever it is. So you have manual showing up on the desktop, and then you have the actual part that you're working on. So you have the right amount of information at the right point while you're operation. So that's helping them drive down the wastage or during building the airplanes for maintenance. Blockchain. This is a technology that probably came with a big bang, a lot of promise, but personally, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, is we haven't seen a very big successful application of blockchain yet. It's nice that the hype is gone. People have started using blockchain. It's not transparent most of the since you don't know that that application is using blockchain, but they've started using it. They've started using it in supply chain management. The example is Walmart. Because it gives you irrefutable record of a transaction. You know that that record is truly what it says, and it's not been tamped. That's the whole beauty of blockchain and what it brought on technology area. So Walmart has been successfully using it for their farm to fork, farm to store, where they are tracking their fresh produce. Now, fresh produce is something that is very, very tricky in the sense that it has to maintain a proper cold chain. So if the cold chain is not maintained, the produce is going to be spoiled, right? And retailers like Walmart cannot take a chance by selling produce that's spoiled. More Spencers can get away with it. They are okay to store something and say, oh, is it spoiled? So they remove. If somebody like Walmart does it, typically Western consumers would buy it and then put a suit against legal suit because they're going to get big money, right? So they can take chances. So they're going to ensure they use blockchain to ensure that the cold chain is proper, the transportation is proper. That's all. It's just not supply chain. It's also being used by financial institutions, particularly because we don't want the cards to be fudged, right? The card is transaction. A few other states in Andhra Pradesh are also trying to use blockchain for land records. So we also want land records to be foolproof. It also brings in a lot of efficiency and speed into transactions once you have blockchain. So one good example where the financial institutions are using blockchain. pretty close to autonomous, although we use a pilot. They're very easy to make autonomous. You got to create a flight path, do the flight path. The best example of autonomous is self-driving cars. Google's fair now, but we trial with Waymo for quite a while. Now, imagine if they are successful with it. They are running one city in US. You can actually hail an autonomous car, get into the car, it drops you, you can take it to multiple locations, you can use it as a personal car, the office, come back from the office and all that. It's still in just one city. Imagine if they are able to, push them out everywhere. We're talking about Tesla's ADAS, right? Where people sit behind the steering wheel and car drives by itself. This is talking about not having a steering wheel. So hopefully the technology is right. There will be fewer accidents. Amazon uses it because Amazon has its huge warehouses. I don't think it's feasible for only humans to operate these warehouses because the way Amazon ships things, the speed at which it ships, the number of SKUs they have in a single warehouse, running into millions, and the way these warehouses are leveraged. To have humans do that, meaning they are running into each other. The whole operation would be very, very inefficient. Just because it's more like because they have access to this technology, the warehouses are so huge. If these technologies were not there, they would probably be smaller warehouses, multiple locations, which is again inefficient for them. So they can use these robots to stack, pick, ship, do all the tasks that we do. Only thing is much better. And probably not even safe. These products are stacked 12 floors high in some of these warehouses. You will need a lot of safety systems in place for that to be done. So it's easy. Predictive analytics. So again, this is more of what you could do with the data that you're collecting. We talk about big data, analyzing the data that's already there. Predictive analytics goes a little bit further. It's going to help you predict product you what, or what would you be interested in watching. Netflix. I'm sure you use Netflix. You've experienced its search engine, how it comes up with suggestion. Since you watch this, maybe you like watching this. Again, I gotta say, Amazon with all its money, with all its technology, the search engine on Amazon Prime is terrible. So it doesn't mean that some company which has billions of dollars and only PhD is working on it will get it right. But Netflix has been the leader and they still maintain. Their search engine, their recommendations are far, far superior than Amazon. And the other streaming, I'm sure if you look at AHA or CTV, they're somewhere. Some of them are slightly better, but some of them are not to improve on. Thing. Hotstar is probably better than some instances. But all that is application of predictive analytics. They can also be used in manufacturing, particularly if you're gathering a lot of data on the machinery, where the failures are going to happen. So that's how you leverage some of the data. Omni-channel customer service. We've been talking about social media engagement. We're talking about traditionally we've been using there's chats, chatbots, then you have voice support, you have text support. So you have multiple channels of interacting with your customer. Now, there used to be a time when you start a chat conversation, you're only talking to the chat team. They are not aware of any conversations that you had via email or WhatsApp or via social media or a messenger. They never had the big picture. So at times you would, get ticked off saying that, well, I talked to you, I sent you an email, but why are you asking this information again? I already told my problem, solve but you don't have it, right? So in response to such situation where every one of these channels having their own style in terms of interaction data, now we have services offering this omni-channel, meaning doesn't matter which channel you pick, that channel information is available to everybody who supports support, who offers service support for their company. So very important that this is available. Again, this is probably one of the instances where Amazon is really at the pinnacle. Their customer service is out there. Very few companies come close to that in terms of customer service. Examples, Make My Trip and Orioles. You search for a flight or hotel ticket, Make My Trip browser. You go to the app, they already have your search history. They'll tell you, hey, you search for this flight, this hotel in this location. You want to do more of it. Oyo Rooms is similar. They have been very successful in leveraging this omnichannel customer service. So good. All of you can hear a sigh of relief. We come to the close of this session. So takeaways, I'm just going to list what we talked about. These are technologies that you hear on an everyday basis. But this session has been, created in the sense to help you ask the question. You've been accepting the presence of these technologies, how they help make things better for everybody. But if you are ready to start your own venture, it helps to take another look and see, am I using all these technologies that are being leveraged by companies today? Does my company not use any one of these things? Maybe I haven't touched on it, but I wanted to put that up here. We recall when broadband came in, suddenly the knowledge sharing across the world really became very easy, right? So governments got on it. They almost got to a point where every 1,000 household that have broadband is going to give me an X% increase in my GDP. They really come down to that. So every government was either had broadband. And then they started looking at broadband is no longer 256 KB, it's 5 to 1. Today, 200 KB is 5, right? So that's what broadband. Then we had Geo with 4G. Now, until broadband, people had to have a PC to get onto it, to track enrichments of the knowledge. So there was a very large startup who are not exposed to benefits or who are not leveraging the benefits of broadband. So essentially, this population but not getting benefits. So come Geo, come 4G, come available with your smartphones. Geo made it a level field. Everybody with a smartphone. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at how many businesses are leveraging just WhatsApp to start and run successful. Nothing else. WhatsApp and one of the Paytm or PayPal. That's all they need to run it successful. Now, if that's the situation with 4G, I want you guys to imagine what it's going to be with 5G. 5G, we are talking about speed than broadband that you have. So imagine the services that consumers will really consume using 5G. And we are not talking about just your personal devices. Imagine the IoT sensors. Imagine the cameras. Imagine all the heavy back of devices that today cannot be deployed because there's not good coverage. And then 5G is going to make that all happen. So 5G will pretty much, we'll see a whole set of new services, new set of devices, new conveniences, new problems that 5G is going to bring to this society. I didn't touch upon that, but it's important that I talk about it.
The chatbot also collaborate how the entrepreneurs can be created.
Right. So chatbot service, it's easy to build today. There's so many things that you can just put together off the shelf to run a chatbot. Some of the companies do a very good job. One company that comes to my mind is HDFC Ergo. HDFC is probably not at cutting edge, but HDFC Ergo in their customer interaction, either in customer service support or in product sales, they are like cutting edge in terms of how you can get things done all by yourself. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to email anybody. Everything can be done by just your login. And they have a very good chatbot, which helps you perform a lot of these tasks. They use AI, so generative. Oh, by the way, I can finish this session without talking about ChatGPT.
Yes, that is a
How many of you heard about ChatGPT? Right. So invested close to 10 billion in OpenAI. So they're taking ChatGPT 4, the version that's not available to the public, a lot better than GPT. They're integrating it into their Teams collaboration software. That's the first one we heard. And then we heard they're integrating it into their search engine. And then obviously Google had to do something, right? Google was not sitting on its back wondering about how to respond. In fact, the message we heard from in the media was, Sundar Pichai went back to Google Alphabet and said, "You got to do something. Everybody's got AI. Microsoft invested in it, and then OpenAI anyway is continuing. How come we don't have it?" But they had it. They just didn't time it right in bringing it out first. They had an AI called Bard. It's unfortunate that it came up with the wrong answer, which meant they lost $7 billion in their stock because it made a mistake. Now, recently we've been hearing about Amazon showcasing their own generative AI. All these folks have been working on generative AI for a while. But the message for you folks is it's very easy to leverage these applications. OpenAI has APIs that you could leverage, use for your application. It's very easy. And one of the first things that helps improve is content creation, your marketing content, your email communication. I'm sure you all agree that although we are English speaking, our English is not really formal English, not really good enough for formal communications. I'm not just talking about the way we speak, but even the way we write. So, generative AI is going to level the field there. You write whatever you want to express. It's going to reword it for you. It'll look like somebody who has good hang of English that has written. Almost to the fact that I'm sure you heard about these stories. We have graduate students in the US using ChatGPT, and there are of course services that are going to say, "Hey, this has been written by an AI, so it's plagiarism." So there are also services coming up that detect that the content has been generated by an AI. It's going to be iterations, like this will get better, then this will get better, this will get better. I don't know where it's going to be, but on that note, people who are students, message to students is like, I have heard people say that, hey, if it can write better than me, why can't I use it? Why shouldn't I use it? It's good, Back in our time, it was like calculate, engineering calculator. You don't have to do all that manually, cost, time, angles, and all these things. Doing it manually versus just punching it in the calculator. But then for a while, colleges and universities said you can use calculators. You have to do it manually. And then after a while, they said, okay, you can use calculator. But then the technology got better, and the calculator could do a lot more things than just that. You could program an entire thing, just copy it on. So it's similar here. Right? It's a tool. I mean, the tool can be better than you. It's a tool you got to use. It's not a replacement for you. So to all those people who say, well, if it can write better than me, why can't I use it? So someday the company is going to say, well, it can work better than you, so why should I hire it? Right? And that's exactly what AI is trying to do. Then hopefully we won't reach a stage where the companies say that to us. Some repetitive tasks are going to go away, but if you use it, you'll know that it has its limitations. It's still an fancy, but the possibilities, the potential of it is mind-boggling. It's obviously scary. What we don't understand, humans always first reaction you get is be scared of it, right? Hopefully, we have seen enough of technology innovations that we take this in the right sense. We don't give the control of, nuclear warheads to AI. We won't have, what's that? What's the doomsday movie?
Quick question.
Sure.
Very insightful journey of innovations that you provided. As an entrepreneur or budding entrepreneur, what is that student or a person who is planning to develop technology need to keep in mind when he is doing, when he's selecting any of these innovations, like either cloud computing or blockchain technologies, or it could be any of our AR or XR or HR, whatever it is. So what is that he need to do in terms of utilizing the open source for its innovation? How will he know or she know what type of packages or APIs that are available for them, so that they can use them without much difficulty in their innovation?
There are multiple questions of that answer. I mean, question multiple parts to it. What technology to use? And it's really up to the product and service that we're trying to get on. So I don't know if there are completely new solutions that
Thinking something out of the box that they go to the inside. So what will, like, how, what kind of open source help or cheat sheet is available for him, so that he cannot and go with the product, with the development of the product.
So that's, don't look at it from using the technology, but any startup, one of the first things that it needs to do at that time, it needs to identify the market. You need to figure out if there's really a market for the solution that is given. Without identifying the market, where the market is building the product. So those things as we list them, as we chooses those things. Which technology to use to offer that solution will become maybe. If it's a question of which of the options are I need to use, open source or which services.
Obviously, you go with the open source because he will be be the beginning of a development stage and we will not be able to pay out of pocket or someone will be helping them to pay for it.
Yes and no, man. Since sometimes open sources may be free, but there is always a huge hidden cost. So it may be the first thing that you want to start, but pretty soon you may walk away from it because um, running your enterprise solely on open databases, still open source, are very robust. But then if you look at say CRM, they are open source CRMs. They are fairly well maintained, but then there's a huge learning curve. Now they are free to use or almost free to use. But if it's going to take you 6 months to master it, would you not pay say 10,000 rupees and use something that is more intuitive and that you can hit the ground running within a month? So those sessions come into play, whether you want to use open source or paid applications.
As part of this alpha factors, we rendering any help in choosing the open source technology.
We don't work at that level of detail. And I can tell you that we're going to help you choose the technology for you on your behalf. What we do is point you in the right direction by most of the time asking the right questions, where the entrepreneur is able to figure out what it is that he's trying to solve. Now, most of the time, entrepreneurs don't do that. They don't spend enough time asking the questions. They kind of surround themselves with people who agree with them rather than with people who don't. It's easy, right? You want people who say yes to you around you than people who say no. So as alpha partners, we ask those tough questions. So, if somebody walks in and say, "Hey, we got this startup idea, we want to do this," we support. Wait a minute. So, what did you do to come up with a solution? Did you do any market research? Do you know who the customer is? Do you know they are willing to pay for it? Or this is something that you know they will want? Because that doesn't cut, right? It has to be somebody willing to pay that money to buy that service or product. It's not your gut feel. You can go by gut feel. But then entrepreneurs are typically they go by gut feel. Because they love something, they want to build something. So we ask the tough questions initially. And then once they are able to find the right answers to it, so they help small startups build up. Today, not every one of the startups has a technology background. Right? They have a great idea. They're maybe good at marketing. They may be good at something else, but they don't have the technology chops to make the application. Right? So it's meant to support those folks where they're very good at something, but they don't have the technology. So this came out of the first startup that we invested in. The guy was great in terms of his what he brings to the table, but then he didn't have any technology background. So he went to a small group of people who did the application for him, and then because it was built by two students, he couldn't go with it. And so we handed it over to a proper software company to help maintain it. Because the building blocks were built by the students, there was only so much that they could improve on. So every time they had to make a change, there was huge things that they had to change. So the incremental gains were very difficult, very expensive. So that's the time we discovered a need for non-tech founders to get some support from technology-based companies who can help. There are several models out there. We have heard pitches from startups where some of the companies worked for free, but worked for equity. Some of the companies said, "Okay, I'm going to keep working for free until you make the first money," which is risky. It might not.
Technology. So,
Seems inevitable today.
and we have a lot of questions, and they would like to know who can help them with the analytics part. That is where we are inviting people to give them or getting some help in terms of getting the data sets. Even if we get the data sets, it big data analytics or any other.
Unfortunately, there are fewer opportunities given to students in that field, and they are, large companies actually support it more so post-pandemic, where internships are being offered. Earlier, they were locked into the thinking that internships need to be in person. Now everybody is open to remote versions, almost to a point that most companies have a freelancer teams working remotely who are actually performing and working more efficient than their own team. So as an extension of that, internships are also being offered remotely. So companies that use these things are more open to internships, and that's where students can get their first insight into how. Again, there are services being offered where companies tell the middleman that these internship positions are open, and they try and match with the availability of the students with companies who are looking for it. In the past, we heard about Internship Shala. That's one of the websites. I don't know how successful they are. They got started with even the local community here, the IT companies, they do encourage internships. Also, Alpha Partners, its own limited small way. We actively work with people in the second year, third year, or fourth year. I think they do something called a PTO, pre-placement. So they work longer hours. So there are options available. You just got to
Time. Yeah.
I just want to know, like, that each of companies would invest. If they're looking at cash for kind of profitable kind of to the most,
if you are looking at investing in companies, I would say,
yeah. You look at a technology-driven cash burning company.
there's no one answer to that. Each is a case by itself, right? There are a lot more things than just cash burn. Yeah, some things it's always cash burn. It will never make cash. Yeah, look at WhatsApp. It was always burning cash. For somebody who was looking at WhatsApp a few years back, even its offering rates are, but they're not monetized. There were instances where they were saying, charge $1 a year, they're going to earn millions. So it depends on the strategy of the founder and the interest of the VCs. One common thing is any company that's burning cash big time, it's acquiring customers. Yeah, it costs them a lot more to acquire customers, but it is increasing the number of customers who use their service. It doesn't matter that they are not making any money on it. As long as they are customers, because customers are viewed as potential revenue opportunities by VCs. So if you have like 1 million customers who are paying nothing versus 10,000 customers who are paying you something, this is more attractive than the one that's making money. Simply because they see big money here. Yeah, if they monetize this 1 million customers for $1, that's $1 million dollars. Versus the 10,000 or $10. So that's how we see it. And that's the reason why you have companies that's running cash but still
Like still we have proper customers repeat is fine. We so that customer not it's a repeat customer.
okay.
But at the end of the day, you're just spending some money on marketing. Make sure that you want to get back whatever money you spend on. If that's the
No, sometimes it's all customer acquisition. You spend like $50 to acquire a customer, the customer spends $5, they still feel it's okay. because potentially you can come back and buy a lot. So current environment values that higher than a high paying customer.
What about how much expected to be than what you're making?
Yeah, what you're making currently is not the only yardstick by the success. What you can potentially make is more.
So the company survey. For that, the company survey.
Well, everybody thought Uber was going to sink, right? Kind of the way money, kind of money that it brought. But then there's also this phenomenon where they are too large.
The
This
problem
one.
is like the bargaining. The company has to make.
Every company has
The
to.
company has to.
So for a VC, who has a limited window, typically 3 years, they don't last more than 3 years. I mean, they don't stay invested in a company for more. By the time a VC comes in, it's at least 3 to 4 years and good revenue, run rate, and all that. And they need VC's money only to still make this big jump. So VC is willing to bet that big money to make the jump. If the jump is successful, they get a bit more. If the jump is not successful, well, I'm invested in 10 companies. I know 2 of them, right? Or 8 of them. But I make enough money on the other 2. That's their game. Not that it makes sense to me, but that's the game.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, so, that what is the proportion of money that so that we take each of
Entirely depending on how deep their pockets are. Until some time back, SoftBank, Senko-based, was one of the largest investors around the world. So almost every technology company that was doing good, they had invested several years back on. But then they made some very big mistakes. And India was one of those co-working companies at the time. There were several companies that lost money rapidly. So it kind of went down in terms of their investment. So they have persons that are like 10 billion, and then they raise another 2 billion, depending on the market environment. They get another 2 billion. You won't be surprised if it's subscribed to. You gotta read the transcripts of how Elon Musk bought Twitter, or actually passed buying Twitter. Their Twitter transcripts were out because the board asked for them. So, yeah. It's like an article there. What's his name? Oracle phone. So he goes like, "Hey, put me in for 3B. We're talking about billions, right?" And then another group, some middleman comes and says, "Hey, look, Elon, I got a group who's willing to invest up to 6B." And Elon goes back and says, "How confident he's going to?" And this guy says, "Well, he just sold his company. He's got 3 billion with him, and he has, employees who make similar money, so they're gonna invest." You think he's serious? He asked. Elon asked. Then find out from him. He says he can put in 6 feet within a week, and if he's given 2 more weeks, he's going to bring another 3 weeks. I mean, it's unreal. That's it. And the reality is, a lot of the money is liquid. Right? It's money being put forth by the banks. So actually, it's the bank. These guys are promised about real, but might fall over each other. He's zoomed like, I don't know, 1,000%, 2,000% growth in the last couple of years. It's like they had a financial collapse. That's when we heard this film first. They're too large to, they're too large to die. They're so large, but if you allow them to die, it's going to hurt the entire economy. Definitely the country. And that's the reason why US supported all those companies, right? It gave them large sums of money. General Motors, everybody took a lot of money. So I thought the same thing will happen in India with Adani. But fortunately, our stock market, whether that's strong, losing 103, didn't impact our stock market much. Well, I'm sure our government would have supported Adani industry just to make sure our stock market is good. Any more questions?